I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. This is what a large crowd looks like. 75,000 people who attended a rally for Barack Obama in 2008 in Portland, Oregon. This is also what a large rally looks like, a big crowd. 100,000 people attended a rally at Arch Park in St. Louis in 2008 for Barack Obama. This is what a small crowd looks like. This is in Pickens, South Carolina over the weekend. The entire population in Pickens is around 3,300, and here there was about 5,000 people. There was not 75,000 people or anywhere close to it, yet that's what Donald Trump said in a post. That's what the MAGA Republican sycophant said. So here is South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She goes, 30,000 people inside the perimeter at the rally today, 45,000 people outside the perimeter trying to get in, for a total of 75,000 people. Hearing there were more people lined up at 2 a.m. to get into this rally than all other South Carolina events combined. And then Donald Trump responds, "Thank you, Nancy. A great day in Pickens." And what does the large media networks do, and also the local media networks who are controlled by right-wing organizations? What do they all do? Well, they perpetuate these false narratives. They normalize these events that are traveling fascist circus events that should be called out for how dangerous they are. And if you're like me, and you are, I assume, because we all are part of the Meidas Mighty community together, it's just enough of the gaslighting. We don't need media gatekeepers to tell us what we see with our own eyes, what we hear and what we feel is not what's taking place. I do not need large media networks to tell me that the sky is green when the sky is blue. I don't need the media to tell me that the grass is blue when the grass is green. I can evaluate these things for myself. But here's how. First, I'll do a national media network. This is how Politico is dealing with it. Politico's headline is the following: Trump takes over small city in South Carolina, show of force. His appearance was a shot across the bow in a critical primary state with two homegrown contenders. Pickens. Donald Trump built his 2016 campaign on the ability to pack supporters into arenas and fields. In his first early state rally of 2024, he commandeered a small city, taking over the movie set-like main street of a town of 3,300 in the hills of South Carolina on Saturday. Trump put on a show of force, not only in his stronghold of rural America, but in an early primary state where he remains dominant. In front of a crowd that local officials estimated may have reached 50,000, Trump barged onto the home state turf of two of his primary opponents, Nikki Haley and Senator Tim Scott. The size of Trump's audience and its fervor was the latest ominous sign, not only for them, but for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Trump's top rival, who is desperately trying to peel off Trump's base in his first in the South primary state. In the concert-like atmosphere, with thousands standing for hours and dozens falling ill from July heat, Trump appeared once again to dwarf the field. It's hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it is hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country, Trump told the crowd, accompanied by a dramatical musical score. Like, who writes these things? I don't know what concerts y'all are going to want to see. A concert-like atmosphere? I'll show you what a Taylor Swift concert looks like, where there's actually a big crowd. You want to see concert-like atmosphere? How about we go to concerts where they actually fill stadiums that look like that Barack Obama speech I showed you from 2008 in St. Louis and in Portland. That's what a crowd, that's what a concert-like atmosphere looks like, not what this is. So who is writing these things? This is the local news, the Greenville newspaper in South Carolina. Trump in South Carolina, tens of thousands pack Pickens, more than 50 treated for heat-related illness. So again, the headline is, it's a massive crowd, when, by the way, we all saw that it wasn't a massive crowd, number one. And number two, how about you focus on the fascism that he's talking about? How about you focus on the fact that he's talking about overthrowing our democracy? No, let's talk about the crowd size, get that wrong, and again, perpetuate these fascistic narratives. Former President Donald Trump didn't have to do much convincing to impress a hometown crowd of mostly Trump supporters in Pickens. Nearly 75% of Pickens voters selected Trump over Joe Biden in 2020. I love it. Kenny Stoll, a self-described blue-collar iron worker from Summerville, South Carolina, said of Trump's remarks, I don't think he lies to the people. He's true to his word. He don't back down. He fights for what's right. And by the way, let's not point out the irony of the fact that Kenny Stoll's benefits that he's getting as an iron worker are being ripped away by Republican policies. But I'll go on. Trump headlined the Pickens Independence Day Spectacular, and supporters came early as Friday to Pickens in hope of being among the first to see it. Supporters traveled from as far as Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Indiana, and Florida to attend the rally. It's the same freaking people, the same cult followers who follow him around from event to event. And by the way, if you look at just the Greenville homepage, these are the type of people that's there. You've seen her on our other videos that we've done. This is the same person who attends all of these events. It goes on to say, by daybreak Saturday, lines of people stretched all the way from East Main Street down to Hampton Avenue. Of course, the lines are going to be long. It is an event in a city or a town that holds 3,300 people. As you mentioned, it is a very, very, very small event. So this is what Pickens Police Chief Randall Beach estimated a crowd of 50,000 showed up on a day when afternoon temperatures soared in the mid-90s. Pre-rally estimates, this is let's be critical here, critical thinking. Pre-rally estimates of 10,000 to 30,000 were made. Trump claimed the turnout was 75,000. Beach said he needed to get an accurate account from the Secret Service before providing a final number. Around 11 a.m., a Secret Service agent told the news there were 5,000 inside the gate and approximately 10,000 still on the line. Okay, let's just pause there for a second. They're not even talking about what he's saying at the speech, but here are pre-rally estimates of 10,000 to 30,000. Okay, so that's what the estimates are, but you're saying that there was 5,000 inside and you claim to be 10,000 in line. You're getting this info from a random Secret Service agent who's someone who works for Donald Trump, who's with Trump. So you're saying here, at most, the number is 15,000. So everything you've basically said is a total lie. But then we can see for ourselves the stage and it's under 5,000, and you're not even talking about the substance of what Donald Trump is saying. So let's talk about what he's actually saying at the event. Well, here Donald Trump gives a rousing speech about what he can deliver for the people. No, of course he doesn't. He talks about how his call to Georgia from 2020, where he threatened the Republican Secretary of State, was perfect, and Donald Trump talks about how he's not stupid. Play this clip.
Copy of it. It was a perfect call. These were perfect calls. These were calls where you're questioning the validity and the safety of elections. And it's a disgrace that they're allowed to even think about it. But not one person protested until long after that call. And if there was something wrong with that call, I am not a stupid person. Number one, I'm an honest person, so I wouldn't do it anyway. But when people are on the phone, including many lawyers, do you think many people were on that phone? Many, many people. Do you think I'm going to say what they'd like to have? But the problem is it's not borne out. I will tell you what is borne out. The call was supposedly taped in the state of Florida. And in Florida, you're not allowed to do, that's a two-party state. In other words, you're not allowed to tape phone calls. They taped the phone call to show you how nice they are. They taped the phone call, and you're not allowed. So that is the real crime here. They had a two-party state with somebody taping the call, supposedly from Florida. The Bidens took in...
Oh, and here's a good one where Donald Trump says that Putin told him how vicious he was, but he gets along with Vladimir Putin. Play this clip.
Charging a former president of the United States under the Espionage Act of 1917. Espionage. As Putin said, you are the most vicious president ever. There's never been a president that did this to me, and yet I got along with him. Isn't that nice?
Oh, and finally, here calling the special counsel, Jack Smith, a prosecutor, a thug. Oh, this is really critical how he's going to help the American people. Play this clip.
They go after me for the Presidential Records Act. Well, that's what they should be looking at, because everything I did was under the Presidential Records Act. We have a thug prosecutor named Smith, Jack Smith. He's a thug. He's had many losses. He's destroyed many lives, and they put him in charge. In the meantime, what about Biden's records? This guy has 1,850 boxes. He has boxes stored in Chinatown in D.C., rough place, by the way.
So here's the thing. We don't need large media gatekeepers and local media to gaslight us. If your entire story is going to be focused on crowd size, maybe you shouldn't bury the fact that at most there was 5,000 people inside there at the very bottom of the story. How about we start with that premise? And how about, rather than focusing on Donald Trump's crowd size thing, how about you focus on what's being said? Because it was a tiny crowd, number one, but more significantly than the crowd size, he's talking about overthrowing our freaking democracy as we head into the July 4th weekend and as we head into July 4th. Regardless, anytime it would be dangerous and disgusting. But how about you focus on what's being said? That's the problem. Legacy media, large media, local media, frankly, they failed us. They failed us. And it's enough. We all know what we see. We all know what we hear. We all know what we feel. We all know what is going on. I don't need people to gaslight me and tell me that the reality is something different. We're never going to do that to you here at the MeidasTouch Network. That's why we provide you with data, show you the images, and we break this down. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at Patreon. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have an excellent day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.